till today, whatever the examples we have done the examples by using standard controller or controller. Either we have used standard controller in the VF page, or we have used controller in the VF page. We have not used a combination of both of them. Either we used a standard controller or we have used only controller. If you want to go with the exact functionalities, what is defined by the Salesforce, you went for standard controller. No, I don't want to use exact functionalities. I want to define my own logic. Then we went with the controller. Now what I want to do is, I want to use standard functionalities. Some of the locations I want to use custom functionalities. I want to use standard functionalities. In some of the locations, I want to go for a custom functionality. Then how will you implement? Then the concept of extension key. So it has standard controller, standard properties, extending with some of the custom properties. We have standard properties. In some of the locations, we have custom properties. Standard properties. In some of the location, we have custom properties. Are you clear about it? So that's how the concept of extension was introduced. Now, when you want to use a concept of extension, we need to know concept of standard controller. What is the standard controller? Apex Pages dot standard controller. Let us see this. No, we have Apex Pages dot what is this Apex Pages dot standard controller? Apex Pages is a namespace. Standard controller is a predefined Apex class. This class will refer to one S object. This class will refer to one record. So how did you do that? Syntax. This is the syntax. Example. We have taken this. I'm giving Apex Pages dot Apex Pages dot standard controller. Now Apex Pages dot standard controller will refer to one of the record. Apex Pages dot standard controller will refer to one of the record. Apex Pages dot standard controller will refer to one of the record. Apex Pages dot standard controller will refer to one of the record. Okay. Now this class has some predefined methods. Which will help you to perform some logics. What are the first one? ID of the record. Get ID. This will return ID of the record. Get record. This will return record. This will return the record. This will return the record referred by the controller. Then save. This will save the record. And return to edit. This will open the edit mode of the record. Edit page of the record referred by standard control. Then we have add fields. This will apart from the ID of the record. Apart from the ID of the record, which is referred by apart from the ID of the record, which is referred by standard controller. If you want to refer to any of the fields, we need to add them. So whenever I say get record, only ID of the record will come. Apart from the ID of the record, if you want to add any other, if you want to fetch any other fields, then we need to add those fields to the controller. When you say get record, only ID of the record will come. When I say get record, only ID of the record will come. Apart from the ID, if you want to add any other fields, then we are going to say add fields. Okay. Now this is how we are going to create a standard controller. Now why did we go to this concept called standard controller? Boss, if you want to define any Apex class as an extension, I told you, if you want to use standard controller and controller together, then we have to define the S object as standard controller, and the class which you want to use, that should be defined as an extension. Now I repeat the points. In the VF page, I can only define either a standard controller or a controller. I cannot define both of them. Let us take an example here. Now standard controller. Now look at this. I'm trying to define standard controller and controller together. It has given error. A custom and standard controller cannot be referenced in the same page. So either I have to give a standard controller or controller. Both of them cannot be defined together. If I don't want to use pure standard controller, I don't want to use pure custom controller, I want to have some of the standard properties and the remaining properties I want to take as a custom. Then in that case, I have to give standard controller and controller together. If I want to give them together, then I will go for a concept called extension. Then I'll go for a concept called extension. So what I'm doing, defining an apex class. Now I want to define. Look at this. I am taking this apex class. Generally, we have a property. If you want to use any apex class in the VF page, that class should not have any parameters. Am I right? The class should not contain constructor with a parameter. If you want to call any apex class in the VF page, that class should not have a constructor with the parameters. That class should not have a constructor with the parameters. But whereas here, when I go to the concept of extension, you should have apex class with a constructor with parameters. The constructor in the apex class should have parameters. The constructor in the apex class should have parameters. The constructor in the apex class should have parameters. So what I was doing here, look at this. Public, what is the parameter? Apex page dot standard control. So if you want to use any apex class as an extension, that apex class should have constructor with a parameter. What is that parameter? Apex page dot standard controller. Now what this apex page dot standard controller will refer to? One record. Apex page dot standard controller will refer to what? One record. Which record? Whatever the record you are referring in the VF page, same record is referred by apex page dot standard controller. Okay. Now do you know which record we are going to take? It can be an account, it can be a contact, it can be an opportunity, it can be A, B, C. As we are not sure which type of object we are going to take, then it is going to take as a S object. If it is a S object, what should I do? Convert the S object into original format and use. So what I am doing here, ACC equal to controller dot get record. Controller dot get record. Whichever the record is referred by using. Okay. So what I'm doing, we fetched the record. Once we fetched the record, I was trying to apply some logic here. What is the logic? Public void. What does it say? Count of if count is greater than 0, there are some duplicate records. I'm giving here no duplicate record is found. Insert ACC. Now what was that? Look at the point. Check the count of number of records. Check the count of number of records. Check the count of number of records. If count is greater than 0, throw error message. Otherwise, insert the record and take the reference. Now, what was this? I am defining one functionality. What this functionality does? Whenever we call save, whichever the record you are referring with that name, are there any duplicate records or not, it will verify. If there are any duplicate records, it will throw error message. No duplicate records, then it is going to save the record, take you to the detailed page. This is the logic. Now, look at the format. Here I am giving Apex from. Command button. Action equal to save. Right. Then we have page block section. Basic VF page I am creating, boss. Value equal to account dot name. How I was able to give account dot name? Because I used a term called standard controller. Whenever I use a standard controller, straight away object name dot field name, right? Name, industry, phone, rating. Ownership. This is how we have created. This is how you got it. What was the bug here? Line number, phone number, right? Okay. Now this is my functionality. Now account dot name I was able to use. Account dot industry. This is the referring to the properties of an account. Then I gave save and cancel. In the class, what did I give? Only in the class I gave only method for save. Then why it is not throwing error message for cancel? Now it is referring to what? In the account object cancel functionality. So save is a custom functionality, cancel is a standard functionality. Are you getting? Whenever I am using a standard controller, I can refer to the standard properties of an account. On the account, what are the standard properties we have? Save, edit, view, delete, all this functionality. But whatever the save, the Salesforce is giving, I don't like it. I want the functionality to be customized. So what I have taken? I have taken Apex class called extension and I have defined a function called save. Now what is the core objective of this? Boss, if you want to take the properties, standard properties and custom properties together and want to build a functionality, then we require a concept of extension. Why you require? In the VF page, either I can take a standard controller or I can take a only controller, but I cannot take combination of both of them. Standard controller and controller cannot be taken. If you want to take them together, then we are supposed to go for a concept of extension. If you are using a concept of extension, Apex class should have constructor with a parameter. What is that parameter? Apex pages dot standard controller. I hope you are good. Okay. Then people can ask me, when you want to define some custom properties, why don't you define everything as a custom? Why don't you define everything as a custom? Look at this. Now I have a requirement like this. In account object, I have a button called new. When I click a new, we are getting this page, right? When I click on a new, we are getting this page. My intention was, here I have an intention. My intention was, when I click on the new, I don't want this page to come. I want the custom page to be generated. I want my own page to be generated. Now I don't want this page. I want this to be modified. So what is your plan? Your plan is to modify the button new. When you click on the new, what is the page that is opening? I don't want the same page to open. I want to modify it. How can you modify it? Look at this. Setup, build, customize, accounts. What we have? Buttons and links. Then what is the button you want to override? Edit. I want to override with Visualforce. Now why only these 3 pages are coming? Now why only these 3 pages are coming? Now why these 3 pages? Boss, if you want to override or create a new buttons on the standard pages, on whichever the object we are creating, that object should be given as standard controller. I can only replace with the VF page which have standard controller equal to name of that object. On whichever the object we want to override, that object should be taken as standard controller. On whichever the object we want to override, that object should be taken as standard controller. So we are taking here Visualforce is equal to extension 1. So go back to this. This is how my own page came, right? So what did we do? We have replaced standard properties with your own custom property. If you want to override any one of the standard buttons, or if you want to create any new custom button, then we are supposed to go with a standard controller with the extension. Now why standard controller? If you want to replace any one of the existing functionality or override any one of the existing functionality, first we need to go for standard controller equal to name of that object. Standard controller equal to name of that object. Am I clear? Okay. Duplicate record phone. This is how we have created. Right, boss? I hope you are good. We are overriding the standard button. So where we are going to use the concept of this? We are going to use the concept of standard controller in overriding any one of the standard functionalities or creating a custom functionalities on standard pages. Standard controller is used in overriding some of the standard functionalities or creating custom functionalities on standard pages. I hope you are good with this. People have followed this. Okay. Now let us take another example. Now look at this format. Now, yes.
Satish, I have one doubt.
Go ahead.
Can you go to the Apex class? In the second line, you have created one account object, correct? And again, in the fifth line, you are typecasting that to account.
Now, boss.
Is it required?
Now, is ACC is referring to any memory now?
No.
If you want to create an object, how do you create? ACC variable. Either I have to do this, or I have to, if I already have some account, either I have to give this, or I have to give any one I have to give. Am I right or wrong? Either you allocate a memory like this, or refer to any one of the existing record. That's what I have done here. Now ACC.
No, my question is, why here in fifth line again you are typecast it to account?
Now I am not typecasting ACC, I am typecasting controller.getRecord. See.
Okay.
Right. Fine. Any other query?
Satish, hello.
Yeah, make it fast.
Can you please explain this page reference, the last two lines, page reference and account ID, what it is doing here?
What is the meaning of page reference? If you want to go to any particular page, we'll give the URL of the page as page reference. Now, what does it mean? Salesforce.com/ID of the record. How do you open a record generally?
Okay.
If you want to open a record,
it is going to detail page.
Exactly.
Okay, after inserting, it is going to detail page with that reference means ID. Okay, yeah, got it. Thanks.
Now, look at the point. So, what did I do? I have overridden the button. Now, the point is, I have a group of records here. What I want to do, I want to delete all these records at a time. How will you delete? I want to update all these records at a time. If you want to delete, I have to go to every record and delete. If I want to edit, I want to go to every record and edit. I want to perform a mass update. I want to perform a mass transfer. I want to perform a mass update, mass delete, mass transfer. Right now, what I created, it is with respect to one record. Standard controller is referring to one particular record. I don't want to refer to one particular record. I want to refer to a group of records. If you want to refer to a group of records, what will you do? Here, Apex page.standard controller is referring to what? Apex page.standard controller referring to one particular record. Similarly, we have one more concept here, Apex page.standard set controller. Apex page.standard set controller. Namespace. Standard set controller is a predefined Apex class. This will refer to a group of records. This will refer to a group of records. Standard set controller, it will refer to group of records. Now the question is, group of records from what? You are referring to a group of records, very good. You are referring to a group of records from what? Now, from here. How are you getting these records? Because I selected all the records. If I say last week, I am getting this. From these records, I am going to select it. So what is that? Based on whatever the filter I gave, we are getting a group of records. From that group of records, whichever the records we are selecting, that records we want to fetch and perform an operation. Based on the filter, what we are getting, You want to get these records, or you want to get the records which are selected. Now when you say get records, gives you all the records. Get selected, list of records what is selected. So standard set controller is going to refer to list of records what we are getting through a filter. Standard set controller will refer to a group of records. Standard controller will refer to a single record. Standard controller will refer to a single record. Standard set controller will refer to a group of records. Is that was clear for everyone? Okay. Let me give you, try to understand this concept. Public list of standard set controller. Apex page dot standard set controller. Apex page dot standard set controller. Previously we have taken Apex page dot standard controller. Now we are taking Apex page dot standard controller. Accounts equal to list of accounts. Controller dot get select. Now I am saying don't get all the records, get only selected records. Previously it is a single record, so I have converted into account. Now it is a list of record. Controller dot get records. The records which we are getting here, that values we are typecasting it. The records what we are getting here, we are getting those records, okay, and typecasting it. Controller dot get selected. We are trying to typecast the records. Then look at the format. Then I am doing here page reference. Then I am giving database dot how do you go to account page? So what is that? Whichever the records you are selecting, those records I was trying to delete, go back to the home page of the account. Whichever the records you have selected, get those records. Whichever the records you have selected, get those records, then delete them, go to the page reference. Now here, when you are fetching the data, only ID of the record will come. When you fetch the record, only what will come? ID of the record will come. If you want any other fields to be fetched, then give string fields equal to controller dot add fields. Apart from the ID, if you want to fetch any other fields, add those fields to the controller, then fetch the record. When you say get selected, generally ID of the record will come. If you want to get any other fields apart from ID, you are supposed to add those field names to the controller, then fetch it. Till here, any query? Everyone has followed this? Anyone has any query on this? Standard set controller will refer to what? Group of records. When I say get selected, what will be given? ID of the record will be given. Apart from the ID, if you want any other fields, add those fields to the controller, then get the records. Go to the next one. Mass delete. Standard control equal to account, extension equal to mass delete. I'm just creating a VF page, page block. I don't think you require explanation for this, right? Then, how you display the data? Page block. This is what we are getting. Now, look at the point. Whenever we are using a standard controller, whenever we are using a standard set controller, we are supposed to give record set var. Why record set var? You are selecting a group of records from what? You are selecting a group of records, very good. This group of records you are selecting. How are you getting these records? Based on this filter. Based on the filter what you give, list of records are coming. From that list of records you are doing an operation. How are you getting this list of records? Based on the filter. To tell that they are using record set var. Now, if you look at this page, look at the page. I had a very simple page block table, which is displaying a list of record. And I have a page block with one button with a list of records. Right. Then, whereas when I go to this, whatever the records I selected, I am fetching those records, delete those records, go back to the home page. Now, where this page should be added? How are you going to add this page on the existing pages? Look at this. Setup, build, customize, accounts, buttons, links and actions, new button. Mass delete. What was that? List. Do you want to open the same page or new page? What do you want to open? It is not a detailed page. I am not creating a button on a page, one particular record. I am creating a button for list view page. It's a list page. Which table you want to open? Look at this. Right. Now, how do you add the button? Go to search layout. list view. Add the button. Go to accounts. We go to the list of records. What was the button here? Mass. Selecting some of the records. Mass delete. Then the list of records, what I selected? You are able to see list of records what I selected. Then I told delete. Right? Go back and see. List of records are deleted. I hope you are good with this. So whichever the records I selected, when I click on mass delete, these records are going to the Apex class. Those records we are deleting, coming back to the home page. How do you go to home page? I have told salesforce.com/001/. When you go to home page, we are going to go to. I hope you are clear. People are clear. Now this is what? Using standard set controller. It is going to refer to a group of records at a time. Standard set controller. It is going to refer to a group of records at a time. Are you clear about this? Let us do one example. Create an Apex class. Create an Apex class which will fetch all the selected contacts and reassign them to Wilson. Write an Apex class. Write a Apex class which is used as an extension. It will fetch all the selected records and reassign them to the student.
Sir, one doubt.
Go ahead.
Why did we give false in the database.delete?
Now,
The line number 9.
if there are any dependencies, we may lose it. The deletion may fail. That's why I have given it. If there are any dependency at the bottom, okay, to avoid that, I have given that.
Okay.
Sir, in the Apex page, we have given afford as a page table value. It should be items only, right, sir?
You can give anything of your choice. It's not necessarily there should be items. It's a variable. Record set var. It's a variable. We can give anything of your choice.
No.
And what we are displaying here is the records which you select.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Satish.
Yes.
Satish, can you go to modulate?
Can you wait for a minute, Amma? Somebody is asking a question first.
Yeah, we are using the wrapper classes when we want to use the more than 2 types of account or customer. In that case, we will use the wrapper. And in this case, like standard extensions, we will use if for existing standard controller, if you want to extend any of the functions. Is that the right scenario?
You are making the things very complex.
Yeah.
Right. When you want to take any combination other than primitive data types, you'll go for wrapper. And extension has nothing to do with wrapper. Okay. Extension is for overriding any one of the existing functionalities or creating custom functionalities on standard pages. As simple as. It has nothing to do with wrapper class concept. Wrapper class concept is used when you want to take a combination of more than one element. Extension is when you want to take a standard controller and a controller together, we'll go for extension. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Satish.
Yes. Someone else is asking a question. Go ahead.
Yes. Can you go to Apex class once? So in the page defense, we have this ID, right? 001. So did we create this particular page?
How do you recognize every object, Amma? How do you recognize every object in the Salesforce?
Yeah, it has some ID. Yeah, account.
That's what I have given here. Right. Every object will have 3-character ID. I have given the same 3-character ID to refer to it. Okay. Like account ID is 001. Right.
Satish, what is the hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the functionality of include offline button? I have seen that account view page.
Come again.
Include offline button. There is one in the account view page. There is a button like include offline.
That's where you want to. If you sync offline, you can make the user as offline user. If he is an offline user, he can work even without internet. When the internet is connected, everything will sync up. You can work with even offline also can work. When you connect to the internet, then the syncing of the data will be done. Okay. Now, if you are working only when you have connected to internet, the things will be saved. When you make when I make me as myself as offline user, I can even work without internet. When I connect to the internet, whatever the changes I made, they will be synced up.
Without internet also.
That's the meaning.
Okay.
Right. Mute your mic. Yeah. Right, boss. People are done with this. Then how did you create this? Let me cue. I'm getting a list of contacts. Apex page dot standard controller. Get records, or we are interested in getting selected records. But I told they'll give you only ID. Apart from any ID, if you want to fetch any other fields, last name, first name, add the fields. So what was your intention, boss? Then write a query, get the user. Then take every contact. This is how we have created. So what was that user where? So what did I do in this case? All the contacts what you selected, I took one by one contact. I reassigned the owner as student and I updated the records. Then I told go back to the home page of contact. Okay. Now, if you want to create VF page, In that case, what should I do? Standard control equal to contact mass. Then whatever the records I selected, what are the list of contacts I have selected? This is what I have given. What was the bug here? Mass transfer, contact transfer. Go back. Setup, build, customize, contacts, buttons and links, new button. List button. Display the existing window with sidebar. Visual Force. Mass transfer. Once you have created this, I want to display them. Search layout, contact list view. So go to the contact, list of all the contacts, select them. Who is the owner now? SM. Mass transfer. These are the records. Owner is Satish. Transfer. List as no rows. What will be the problem? User. This is the issue. Based on my query, there are no records. Go back again. Contacts. Transfer. Go to the Frank and check out who is the owner of the record. Student name is the owner of the record. Right, boss? So what was that? If you want to perform mass update, mass delete, mass transfer, mass functionality, then standard controller with extension will be helpful to you. Standard controller, Apex page.standard controller will refer to single record. Using that concept, we'll be able to create a button on detailed page of a record. No, if you want to create a button on list view page, then we have to go for standard set controller. I hope you are good with this concept. Am I clear? What I am doing? Building my own functionalities on standard pages. Overriding existing buttons which are there with my own logic. Already there is a new button, replace it. There is a save button, replace it. There is a cancel button, replace it. You are implementing your own custom logic and replacing the standard functionalities. That's where we are going to use the concept of standard controller with the extension. So what is the purpose? If you want to override any one of the standard properties, if you want to override the pages, links, tabs, or you want to create your own buttons, tabs, then we go for standard controller with the extension. In the extension, there are two concepts: standard controller or standard set controller. Standard controller will refer to one particular record. Standard set controller will refer to group of record. Standard controller will go to one record. Standard set controller will go to group of records. Am I clear with this? Am I clear with this? Clear for everyone? Right, boss? Okay. Now, I hope everybody has followed this example, right? Clear? Clear for everyone? Okay. Now, let us go to one more extension of the same concept. That is a pagination. If I have 1000 records, will I display all the 1000 records at a time? If I display all the 1000 records, it is difficult for me to see the data. Second time, if 1000 records are loading at a time, the page will take more time. If you have to fetch 1000 records and display, the loading time will be more. So the performance of the page will be reduced. So what I'm doing, whatever the data I want to display, I am fetching the data, breaking them into a number of pages. Per page, 10 records. Per page, 10 records. When you click next 10 record. Example. Now, let us say 1800 emails are there. Now, will they display all the emails in a single page now? No. So, what we told? Per page, how many records I want? I told some 10 mails per page or 20 mails. 50 per page. 1 to 50 of 1000. When I click on next 50, next. Now, what is that? Now, all the mails what I received, they are broken into number of pages. Per page, they are only showing 50 records. Per page, they are showing only 50 records. Per page, they are showing only 50 records. Now, when you say next 50. When I say last 50. Are you getting my point here? When I say last 50. When I say last 50. Now, this is called pagination. What is this concept called? Pagination. Now, get the records, break them into number of pages. Per page, you say 10 or 50 or 20. Automatically, those many records will be displayed. Next record. Next record. Previous record. Are you getting my point? We are fetching the data, breaking them into number of batches, number of pages, breaking them into number of pages. Now, click next, last. Like that, we are increasing. Are you getting my point? Now, at a time, how many pages we are recording, displaying? Only a 5 or 10 or 15. Load time is reduced. If I want to load all the 1800 mails at a time, it will be difficult. It takes more time. More loading time. Instead of that, what we are doing? Breaking them into pages, and we are displaying only one page at a time. And we can navigate to the next and previous. This concept is called as what? Pagination. In the Google also you search, you get 1 lakh results. All 1 lakh results will be there on the same page. No, right? At the bottom they give a page number 1, 2, 3, 4. We navigate. Same concept we are using here. But how are you implementing that concept is the question. Right? Okay. First, we need to understand a few points here to achieve the pagination. Is the purpose of pagination is clear? Purpose of pagination is clear for everyone? Right? Okay. Now understand this. Everyone, try to understand this concept. If I have public string, I had a method get name. In the VF page, if I say name, what is called? In the VF page, if I call name, what is called? Get name method will be called. If I say name, what is called? Get name. This will be executed. Suppose if I have public run 30. No. it is age. What is called? Get age is called. So in the VF page, if you are calling name, get name will be called. If I say age, get age will be called. Similarly, if I say opti list, what will be called? If I say opti list, what will be called? Get opti list. When I say opti list, what will be called here? Get opti list. So public list of opportunity get opti. Here we have apex page dot standard set controller. Apex page dot standard set controller. Okay. Now we are giving list of opportunity controller dot get record. So what are the records are there in the controller? Those records I am getting it. Now first try to understand this. Anyone has any query on these 3 lines? Let me know. Now apex page dot standard controller will refer to what? Group of records. Then I told controller dot get records. From what are the list of records that apex page dot standard controller is referring? Apex page dot standard set controller is referring to group of records. I told get records. Get the records from that controller. Now when you get the records, it is in the form of S object. We typecasted it in the form of list of opportunity. We are returning it. Line number 3 and 4, 3, 4, 5. Any query from your end? Whatever the records are there in controller, get those records, convert in the form of opportunity, return the value. So whenever I say opti list, what will happen? Get opti list will be called. Get the records from controller, return it. Right. Okay. Let us go to the next one. Public example. List equal to select ID comma name comma get the opportunities. Then I am saying controller dot equal to new right. Look at the point. Apex page dot standard set controller opti list. 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 Now what I was doing here? What I was doing? I wrote SQL query. I fetched the records. Then I kept the records in the opti list. Look at the point. This opti list is passed as standard set controller. What is a standard set controller? It will refer to a group of records. Whatever the list of opportunities we brought here, those list of opportunities I kept in a controller. So what did I do in this case? Pass them to okay. Now I told data will be divided into pages. Per page, how many records? I got 30 records. We want to divide them into how many pages? Per page, how many records? I told controller dot set page size. So how many records per page? 5 records per page. Go back to this. Up to list var equal to a. Then I'm giving apex column. Okay. So let us display this. First, let us see the basic format. Data table value. This is how we got. We got 5 records at a time. So what I was trying to do? Okay. I was trying to give page block. So I gave some buttons here. Command button value equal to try to understand this. Now look at this. What is the concept I have given? Simple, I gave page block. Within the page block, I gave page block. Within the page block, I gave data table. Page block buttons, data table. Page block buttons, data table. So what is the output we are getting here? This is the data we are getting. Right. Now what we have? First, previous, next, last. First, previous, next, last. When I click on the first record should come. When I click on the last list of records should come. When I go to the last records. But how are you knowing that how many records are there? Now, when I go to next, records are changing. Records are changing. But how do I know whether records are changing or not? Okay. There is a reason I gave here. Look at the point. Show me the first button only if they have any previous records. Rendered. You will try to okay. Look at this. If you are on the first set of records, if you are already in the first set, there will be no previous. That's why next and last. Next. Are you getting? Now, if I show the number at the bottom, it will be very easy for me to tell how many records are there. So, what I am doing here, at the bottom I am giving a dot page number of right. Just trying to append some extra things on the page. So, we got here page number into 5 of 35 records. Next 10 of 35 records. Right? Now you want to still, you can improvise it. As per your requirement, you can improvise it. Okay. So what was that? When I'm on the last? When I'm on the first? Next. Previous. Are you getting my point here? Now if you observe this, how we are able to move this data? Did I write any logic for this? No. Who defined this first, last, previous? Okay. Has next, has previous. Okay. Get page number, get page, okay, result size. All these functionalities are available as a predefined in standard set controller. In the standard set controller, we have a lot of predefined functionalities which is helping you to achieve this So let me give you that. What is the name I gave? Let me go. Now look at this. This standard set controller has so many predefined functions. What are those methods? Let me give you. First, it will return you first page. Next page. Previous, this page. Last page. As next. Get selected. Get. Then we have set page size. All these are what? Predefined functionalities. Because there are so many predefined functionalities which are available, because of this, we are able to implement these functionalities so simple by simply giving what? Controller.has previous. Checks whether we have any previous set of records or not. Has next. Checks whether we have next page or not. Has previous page. Has next page. Get the page number. Get the result size. Get the result size. All these we are able to achieve because all of them are predefined. The next advantage of this is when you write a SQL query, get the data, they are divided into number of pages like a cursor. So when I say get next, one more query will not run. The cursor will go to next page. When I say get previous, cursor will come to previous page. So we will not get any view state error also. Are you getting my point here? So standard set controller is referring to a group of record. We are breaking the data into number of pages and displaying the data one by one page with the help of functions like previous and next. Did you get my point? Am I clear with this? Clear? Followed or not, boss? So that's all from my end. We'll meet back on 26th.